Micro ghosting. You seeing this shit? Um, Micro ghosting. Well, you know what ghosting is. Ghosting is when someone stops being around you for some reason that they keep to themselves and they don't actually even say that they're disappearing on you. They just go. And that's it. And you've no idea what happened. That's pretty gnarly. That's unfortunately common. Micro ghosting, I think, is common for people who are introverted, and it hits people with avoidant personality disorder particularly hard. What is micro ghosting? Micro ghosting is when somebody in your life disappears for no reason that you're aware of, without warning, for a little while and then comes back. Now, that sounds like something that people with avoidant personality disorder do, which is when you've hit like an absolute rut, when you've gone into a depressive state, when everything is just too much and all you can do is like, you know, cower in wherever your safe space is. Um, that is not micro ghosting. Mostly because people who do that are almost always compelled to apologize and explain to a degree what their absence was. So that's not ghosting, because ghosting is you don't give any warning. Micro ghosting is when is the complete opposite. Instead of being at their lowest point, whoever is micro ghosting is actually at their highest point. They're having a great time. They're having a ball. They basically they don't need you. Just not a good way to be treated. They think that you're going to bring them down, which is awful. And they're not even going to give you a chance. So they're out there doing their thing and they're not including you. You don't meet their standard of fun. So when they're not micro ghosting you, obviously you serve a purpose to them. And I mean, that's okay. So the ghosting, the disappearing, that's really harsh for somebody with avoidant personality disorder. But having it thrown in your face that there's a use for you to somebody and that's why they're interacting with you, I mean, that's a form of judgment. But the other thing that people do when they do this wonderful little thing is, if you ask them about it, they'll say, oh, yeah, I have a life. I was out living my life. It's like, what? What? So they don't ever explain, they don't ever apologize, and they make you feel bad for their stupid choices. Um, the heck? What? I mean, yes, it's a form of gaslighting, you know, but not really. Because gaslighting, somebody actually tries to convince you that something is opposite of what it actually is. When it's ghosting, they never actually say anything. If somebody's out there saying, well, I'm living my life, well, you've been living your life, everybody's living their life. I mean, that's not an explanation. That's not them trying to tell you, well, actually, this happened, even though it's completely the opposite of what you can see with your own eyes, um, which is what gaslighting is. Um, but it is just not nice. It The motivation for doing that is the same thing as regular ghosting. It's, you know, basically they're too afraid to have a confrontation. That's Poppy somewhere. Maybe he'll come and see, maybe he won't. But the thing is, it's never ever acknowledged by the person doing the microghosting. And it's probably not something that somebody with avoidant personality disorder is actively going to confront. And it's sort of like going to disappear. Like it never happened, and we're not going to talk about it, and this just is. Even though when you don't have avoidant personality disorder, I think they still do Dear Abby. And people who maybe don't want to be super confrontational, but don't have an extremely low self-esteem, they'll check in and say, hey, isn't this bad? Or Reddit always. What is it? Am I an asshole? Am I an asshole for not liking being treated this way? Am I an asshole for asking about how I got treated? Yeah, they will question it. And you know what? You don't have to go to that point. You don't have to question it. And I'm not going to ever, judge you for, oh, well, you shouldn't have that person in your life. That person, that sort of thing. I don't know what your situation is. That might be the only person that you actually speak to ever. You have avoidant personality disorder. You don't have a lot of people. Fact. So, yeah. This is not something that needs to be thrown back at you and say, hey, this is your responsibility. This is your fault. Why didn't you do this? Why didn't you? No. You weren't the one that set it up. You weren't the one that did it. You're not the one clearly in the position to articulate your needs well enough for it to not happen. You're not in the position to be able to lose that person for whatever reason right now. But I see this. I see you. I see what's happening. I see this, and I'm naming it. It is a micro ghosting. It's not very nice. It's usually not a deal breaker. It is something that's going to run through your head, and you're going to come back at this and just nod it and nod it and nod it. It's classic. It's a classic type of thing that a person with avoidant personality disorder would ruminate about. Why did they go? Why didn't they talk to me? Why didn't they invite me? Why was I excluded? Why? You know what? Even if you got those answers from the ghoster, which you're never going to get because you were ghosted, it was micro ghosting. Even if you got those answers, it wouldn't actually make you feel better, because the avoidant personality disorder is going to get their teeth in that, and it's something they're going to go for and go after sometimes for a really long time. And it's not going to leave your, thoughts, and you're not going to be able to just blow it off like everybody else seems to. And I'm sorry, and I see it, and I see you. It shouldn't have happened. I mean, I'm not saying that everybody needs to come out and ask your permission to go do something in their life. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that if somebody has been in a certain position or whatever in your life, and they disappear and they don't explain what happened, and they let you think that you did something wrong, or that you could have done something to prevent that, that is microghosting. And you can confront them and try to make this be a thing that doesn't ever happen again, or you can not, depending on where you are. Wherever you are, that's okay. Because I see this. I know what's happened. I know what happened to you. I know what it feels like when somebody does this. And, you know, it's just not right. It's not good. You know, I'm seeing it. Unfortunately, you probably see it because you're living it. There isn't much can be done about it because, again, if you confront somebody about this, they're either going to come back with some snarky thing about, well, you're the wet blanket, or some stupid thing like that. They're going to try and blame you for the decision they make, and that's not right. You're never going to get an answer that you believe. I mean, it could be completely accurate, and you'll be like, well, you could have said something. I see this pain that this causes. I know that it's not an outrageous, deal breaking, destroy your life pain, but it's another thing that you really did not have to deal with and you didn't need in your life. And it's painful. And I see that. I see that you're going through that. And it's going to be dismissed and pushed under the rug by everybody else. But I see it. And I'm calling it for what it is. Was a micro ghosting. And you will get through it. And that sharp edge will blunt. And I mean, the horrible effect of it is, if somebody does that to you, is that you'll just stop trusting them. And it's hard to trust anybody when you have avoidant personality disorder. But as much as it causes you pain, the other person is the one that's going to end up. Because suddenly, if they keep doing that, at some point, you will snap. And you won't let them back in. And it will be their loss. Because you never know exactly how important somebody is to you until they aren't there anymore, right? Cat, that's coming. This is Pansy. I got both of them. Anyway, micro ghosting. It's real. You're not crazy. It's not right. Nobody should treat you like that. And I see it. I see that it happens to you.